Hello, I'm Dr. Babe, and you're watching Love Life. Tonight we're talking to Jason Howard about life after divorce, the good, the bad, and perhaps the ugly. We've talked a lot about non-traditional relationships and questioned the success of long-term relationships on the show. But I promise you it's not because I don't believe in love. We will get to talking about successful relationships soon, but we're talking about the other side of the coin tonight because it's the conversation we typically avoid. We do actually hear a lot about celebrity breakups, though, and it always seems to capture our interest. Recently, we've seen Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie's split unfold in the public eye and continue to make jokes about it. Or what about the curiosity we had with Gwyneth Paltrow's conscious uncoupling with Chris Martin? Let's look beyond the gossip and delve into the reality of what divorce is like in the real world. These are just some of the examples of issues we will be talking about today on Love Life. So stay tuned. We will be right back.
The $22,000 from the 100 Men Club has made an incredible difference. It's making a difference, and it has already made a difference. That amount of money gives us a freedom of approximately 3 months to be able to feed our seniors across the island. With that, we do over 5,500 meals. So yes, it does make a great impact on us. That's 5,500 meals. Wow. Each meal costs approximately $4 for us to produce and deliver. For Meals on Wheels is serving mostly our seniors, and so it means in the community that the seniors who worked in a period of time in Cayman when there were really no pension benefits and now are trying to exist on $550 per month, it means that they can eat a decent, nutritious, hot meal every day. It just means their survival. We have meals that we deliver on two different kind of fronts. One is the one that we deliver to seniors every day for as long as they need it, and the other one is the short term where they may have had surgery or some other incident that has come up in their lives that causes them not to be able to make meals for themselves temporarily, and then we offer it for that short duration of time that they may need it. I would like to say to the 100 Man Club that I hope that you continue to share your good fortune with those that are less fortunate than yourselves. I hope that they continue to grow and grow, and that at their next meeting, instead of it being 22,000, it might be 44,000 for the next charity.
Welcome to Love Life. I'm Dr. Babe. And welcome to Jason Howard.
Hi.
To Love Life.
How are you?
I'm well. Thanks for coming today. I really think it takes a lot of courage to sort of agree to put yourself out there, and
I kind of do it for a living, so.
That's true. You have some practice at it.
Yeah.
So I thought it would be a good partnership for us to kind of do this show together.
Sure.
And the show is on life after divorce today.
Well, that's good because I am recently divorced.
I saw your big post on Facebook.
It actually, when I look back at like your most liked pictures, that is the most liked of my entire Facebook
Wait, how many
career.
likes did you get?
I don't know. I think I'm close to 600.
Ooh, wow, that is a lot.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but.
So people actually, they liked it, they loved it?
Well, when I put it up and shared, because the whole divorce thing for me was, we didn't have bad behavior, so we were forced to kind of do that 2-year separation. Mm-hmm. And it almost kind of became something that was just in the back of my mind. So it was like that thing that was kind of, that cloud that was always over me. Right. So when it finally finished, I had this picture of a triumphant guy on a cliff, with his hands in the air, saying, got divorced today. And the amount of people who told me that was the funniest thing I ever saw. I didn't even think of it as funny. I just thought of it as an expression of yes, it's like it's over.
So you
know?
felt some kind of relief, it sounds like.
Absolutely. It was just it was a thing, like I said, like a cloud that was just kind of hanging over my head.
Right.
It was nice. It's that one thing you always had on the checklist but was waiting.
Right, and we're going to take a look at this from both angles today.
Sure.
So it's not going to be biased or skewed. So let's start with, I'll just jump right into it.
Sure.
I read a few articles
Yeah.
in preparing for today, and there was one from WebMD that had 3 survival tips for divorce. Okay, so they said, seek out a support system, redefine yourself,
Sure.
and then sort of working through the transitions of the relationships. And it might be kids, it might be in-laws, and it could be just friends, like couple friends that shift and transition
Sure.
once you have to separate and divorce.
Yeah.
So for you, let's start with number 1. What did you use as your support through the process of separation and divorce?
I think I turned to friends. Probably, I relied on my friends. I used where, we had mutual friends and kind of carved out our own little lifestyle when we were married. When that went away, you kind of had to make new friends and make a new lifestyle. So I found myself reaching out to people that maybe I hadn't talked to as intimately in the past and tried to reconnect with them. And really leaned on friends who I have known for a long time but had kind of separated from. I also got really involved at work.
Makes sense.
Spent instead of spending a weekend on the couch by yourself doing nothing except wondering why she isn't calling.
Right.
You go to work and buckle down and focus on something else that you're passionate about.
Yeah, and I think those are very healthy ways to cope with maybe the more melancholic or negative emotions and symptoms.
And don't get me wrong, there were a couple of probably ways I coped that weren't the best.
You can mention those if you want to.
It's easy to go out and have a couple drinks,
Yeah.
but I've found in my 38 years that that's not the best way to go. Normally, it just makes it amplifies feelings, makes things worse. But you live and learn.
And I think you're right. I think friendships and just leaning on people is a really important way to process all of those things. And probably for men and women, there are different ways of accessing that. Like women typically like to talk more.
Sure.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah. Actually, I was at a conference this weekend, and it's 20,000 words a day to 7,000 words a day.
Wow.
Yeah, big difference.
Yeah.
So, especially under duress or under stress, women will tend to want to talk more,
Sure.
whereas men like to move or do something active.
Sure.
So, did you do any of that?
Yeah. I've never really, I'm trying to think. I say I'm not good with my words. I would chat with friends. I find men, we really don't open up to each other. We'll mention things, but it's a brief thing, where I find as women will go into every excruciating detail of what they're feeling, what they think the other person's feeling.
Analysis.
Yeah, it's different, but I got active. I think I went out and went to the gym. I maybe
Right.
went for more beach walks. I found that the best thing for me was to keep busy. That's always kind of how I've dealt with the ending of relationships, is to fill that time where we would have spent together with doing something that I enjoyed doing or felt that I couldn't do before or didn't have the time to do.
Yeah, and it's been compared, the effect of divorce on a person has been compared to significant grief or bereavement, right? And so I think, if you want to compare it that way, it could be a similar process for people when they do go through separation and divorce. So that it's almost like it leaves you with this void or this emptiness and this change that you have to fill your time all of a sudden
Sure.
with new things, and sometimes that takes a while to figure out how to fill that time in different ways.
Sure.
So it sounds like...
And you also throw yourself into new situations. Not all the time are they the right thing.
Right.
So you kind of learn something about yourself too.
Well, that's like number 2,
Yeah.
redefining yourself.
Nice.
So how did you redefine yourself, Jason?
Geez, I think I started looking, what I think for me is accepting failure. My father always used to say to me, you're never going to be able to please everyone. You're going to try as hard as you can, but when you figure out in life that you can't please everyone, that's when you'll finally figure out the secret. And I think I figured that out, in that no matter how hard you try to make a relationship work, it can't. You have to sometimes let things go. And I think that was a big lesson in the redefinition of myself, was that you're not always going to win. Sometimes you have to learn how to lose to be able to try to win again.
I think that's a good point. I mean, there's that saying, like, I either, do something well or I learn from it.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you have that attitude, I think that it's a good approach to something like this, rather than falling prey to, I guess, the pressure of pretending it's okay
Sure.
or making it work or something
Yeah, I
like
mean,
that.
that's it. It's like there's a lyric in a song, it's trying to revive something that was dead long ago.
Yeah.
I think especially with my marriage, we started dating when we were 21 years old, and 38 years old. It's 17 years.
Wow.
And we were only married for a brief time, but we were together for all those years. And the person that I was when I was 21 is not the person that I am now. And the same with my ex-wife. You grow apart. You grow into different roles. You grow into different people. And fortunately for us, there were no kids, and neither one of us are that rich, so there was no financial issues or anything.
So that might have been a more simple
Absolutely.
transition, but
It was, but still devastating. I mean,
course.
when your life gets turned upside down, and the relationship that you thought was going to be your life falls apart, I was really sad. And the only way you can kind of fight it is to, like I said, keep busy. Try new things and put yourself in situations where you're going to meet new people. I always find that's a good way to keep busy.
Let's hold that thought for a minute. We have to take a break,
Sure.
but stay tuned with us on Love Life.
Stacy, what have you done with the money that 100 Men has donated to you?
Well, we have bought lots of food, healthy meals, as you can see from the buzz behind us. It's lunchtime here at one of the schools we support. Right now, our roster has 160 children that we help daily. They will get a well-rounded plated lunch, but really that's their meal for the day, and I think that's important to remember that, or imagine that a lot of children face a lot of anxiety about whether they will receive a meal, what will happen later if they get home, will there be anything at home. Basically, with $1,000 CI, we can support one primary school age child for a full school year, just like the children you see behind us.
Well, Stacy, I really want to thank you. I'm glad that we were able to help you. Is there anything else you want to tell our 100 Men before we wrap up?
100 men of free men, who give a damn. We are really grateful to you. It's a significant boost in our program. There are a lot of children in need out there. We are not able to help them all, but because of your support, we were definitely able to reach a lot more than we ordinarily would have. So we thank you.
You're back with Dr. Babe and Jason Howard on Love Life. So Jason, I hate to cut you off before, but it was a really interesting thing that you were sharing with us that I'd like to readdress. The fact that you were with her for so long,
Yeah.
right? 21 to 38?
Yeah, give or
That's
take.
a long
Well,
time.
there were some gaps in there, but I like to round up.
So, a person can really change and evolve over the course of a lifetime.
Sure.
And this point, I talk a lot about it in marital therapy with my clients, and I think it's just this presumption that people go into the idyllic sort of romantic idea of being in a significant relationship, long-term relationship, potentially marriage, thinking that, happily ever after, right?
Yeah.
That sort of naive viewpoint.
Yeah, relationships are work. They shouldn't be all work, but relationships, and especially with the counseling that I've been to, there is a lot of effort and a lot of expectation and a lot of time that you need to treat a relationship just like a person. You need to make sure that it's healthy, that it's being satisfied, and most importantly that you're not the only one giving to make sure the other person is satisfied, but you're also receiving too. Because if you're the one who's constantly, as my counselor says, letting the other person drive, then you're never going to feel that fulfillment, and then resentment will build, and resentment is a dagger in the heart of marriage. So
I mean, I think all those points are valid, right? But if you can, just bear with me for a little bit. One thing that I like to explain, and a reframe of that, is not so much that it should be so much work to meet the needs of your partner, but that it is a lot of personal work to be vulnerable, to be transparent, to be self-aware, and then to sort of navigate that process in alignment with another human being that you live with.
Right.
That to me is the hard part. Not that you should be required to meet somebody else's needs.
Yeah, no, I think the best thing, a perfect relationship and perfect passion is when you can give your all and it's not good enough, but the person you're with is is thankful for what you're giving,
right,
and they recognize your shortcomings and they're okay with that, and they love you for what you are and what you can't give them, and the feeling is reciprocated. For me, I think that's it. For me, marriage is just, hey, let's not quit. Let's try to work through it no matter what. I love you, you love me. Let's just not quit. So if we want to take a day off, or you want to go do something by yourself, cool. Let's just not take the rings off and throw them down the toilet and flush everything that we've built,
right,
down the drain.
It doesn't sound like you did that.
No, no. I mean, we did. We got divorced,
but not in an impulsive way.
Yes, exactly. I mean, we certainly, over the course of our relationship, had our ups and downs, and we worked on things, and we tried to fight through them. But I think there comes a point where, like I said, you realize, I can't win this. So
there's a space for letting go.
Absolutely.
This actually brings up the conscious uncoupling that I wanted to mention.
Sure.
What do you think about that?
I think it's a fancy way of saying we're just sick of each other.
Okay.
I mean, it's cute. I love the title. I think it's we respect. It sounds to me like what is it? Divorce. What's the term?
Like amicable?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, hey, we've had enough.
Yeah.
We've got kids, we've got this, let's just go our separate ways.
People call my office frequently and they say, do you do conscious uncoupling?
Is that
it's not something you get trained in,
no,
really, but there is a certification program now. It's gotten popular, right? So the therapist, I think, that Gwyneth Paltrow and Chris Martin accessed for their process of separation now has sort of like some program that she does for conscious uncoupling. But basically I looked it up, and it's just a way of being friendly about it, and remaining a family. And what was weird though was that they used the term, we're like siblings now. Which I'm not sure that's like the right model for your children.
But I guess I could understand, I could relate to how that relationship would feel.
Well, more like platonic, like best friends.
Yeah.
But I would like to avoid the sibling metaphor,
I think it's cool. I mean, growing up, my parents were divorced. A lot of I've been noticing that as I get older, my friends' parents are getting divorced. They've been married 25, 30 years, and they wait for the kids to get done with school, and then they split. A lot of times they'll stay in the same house, or they're still very good friends, but they've just had enough of being married. I think that's kind of like the uncoupling. It's, hey, thanks for the good times. We've got these 2 kids, or we've got this great life, but I just don't want to be yours anymore. And I respect that. I think that sounds to me like uncoupling.
Okay.
And it's a mutual understanding, and hey, let's try something else.
And it can be positive sometimes, this outcome of separation in a marital situation. So I wanted to read, I got this from Huffington Post.
Okay.
So these are kind of like some benefits to divorce.
Sweet.
Ready? All right. So number 1, your free time is all your own.
That's it.
Number 2, divorce can boost your confidence. If you actually go through the process of divorce, you can feel accomplished and feel like, wow, I just went through that really bad situation.
Yeah, and I made it.
And you made it through.
Sure.
Number 3, no more in-laws.
Yeah.
Well, maybe if you get married again, you might have more influence.
Right.
Number 4, no walking on eggshells anymore. So like if you had a very sensitive situation with your spouse,
Sure.
then you might have had to walk on eggshells. Number 5, you are a priority. You are your priority.
Yes.
Big one.
Those are all absolutely true.
We've got a couple more. Number 6, you have the whole bed. When you want the whole bed. but
That is
you
good.
might
I
change
still
that.
tend to stay on one side though, but sometimes I will switch the side.
I starfish completely.
Do you really?
And then I turn around. And stuff. Anyway, number 7, you can rediscover yourself. We've talked about that one.
Sure.
And number 8, your relationship with your ex can actually improve. So that's kind of like what we're talking about. This.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, think about how things were as we were married. They were horrible. Now at least hey, how are you?
Right.
Nice to see you. Good. Okay. Glad everything's good. So yeah, it can.
So there are some benefits to divorce. There are some positive outcomes that we can sort of see the silver lining on, right?
Sure.
Okay, so we'll be right back on Love Life. I'm Dr. Babe. Stay tuned.
Two people. Two very different worlds. Create a love that is forbidden. Find out how the tale ends at this year's Pirates Week. Be there.
Nothing is immune to change. But when the storm strikes, the roots of the mango tree give it the strength to stand where others might fall. And likewise, when it comes to home insurance, we want to empower our customers to face the unexpected. At Cayman First, we've grown our own tree of expertise when it comes to home insurance, and we've been flourishing in the market for over 30 years. We offer a range of insurance products that are easy to understand, including protection against loss or damage to your property and cover for your possessions in the event of extreme weather or natural disasters. We put you, your home, and your family first because for us, it's Cayman First. For more information, call us today on 949-7028 or visit our website at www.caymanfirst.com.
Welcome back to Love Life. So we're talking with Jason. This is our last segment now already. I guess one thing that might be helpful for our audience is just to maybe walk us through the process of divorce a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, in Cayman, you can do it by yourself. It's a lot easier if you get a lawyer. It's also a lot more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer to always do things the most cost-effective way. There's a lot of paperwork, which is almost impossible to find. I would tell you that a very valuable resource is the free legal assistance they offer from the Family Resource Center.
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday nights.
Legal befrienders, is that what it is?
I'm not sure. They give lawyers donate their time.
Mm-hmm.
And one woman who helped me was absolutely fantastic. Because I had went through a couple of websites who claimed to make it easy, but it really didn't work. So I went and sought the advice from the lawyer at the Family Resource Center, who then provided me with all the documents. And then there's a series in which you have to submit them, a process in which you have to follow. But I mean, I had met with 2 lawyers. My first lawyer quoted me $2,000 plus his time. The other one was $5,000 for everything.
Wow.
And this one was $275.
Big difference.
Yeah, there's also a couple different things. I mean, fortunately for me and my ex-wife, we didn't have any kids, we didn't have any shared assets, we didn't have any property, so ours was pretty simple. But we once you we also didn't have any bad behavior. There was no adultery, there was no violence or anything like that. We were done.
Mm-hmm. But you can't file for irreconcilable differences here.
Exactly. They don't offer it, which is sad because it makes it then forces you to kind of sometimes get nasty. If you want out of it, then you have to kind of get nasty, which is a shame.
But you didn't do that.
No, we didn't. We opted for the cost-effective way and waited 2 years. Which was great. I mean, in those 2 years, it really gives you time to heal and redefine yourself, yeah. and kind of move on from it. And I was in a couple of relationships over those 2 years. So
Interesting.
Yeah.
Let's go with that.
Sure.
What is that like, especially in Cayman, to have relationships as a non-yet divorced person?
yeah, well, I mean, it's always interesting on that date when you say, well, technically I am still married.
Confession.
Yeah, it's just that cloud. I mean, anybody could see that the relationship with us was over. However, the family of that person may not understand quite as well. Plus, it also kind of inhibits taking the relationship you're in now to the next level. If we were, at New Year's Eve, Times Square. There's a jewelry store right there. I could propose right now, but then I may go to jail. It's different. It was always that cloud hanging over my head. It's sort of like when your registration sticker is up on your car. And you say a little prayer before you go out because the thing doesn't open until Monday that you don't get. It's sort of like that. It's just that little cloud that's kind of hanging over you.
Well, it sounds like you still believe in marriage, so this is a good thing.
I do.
Yeah.
I think that maybe we just weren't in the right place. I think that a lot of my marriage was to try to. I thought getting married would fix our relationship, and I don't think it did at all. It actually, I think, amplified everything that was bad about it, made it 10 times louder. So. I definitely still believe in marriage. I want to get married again. I'd love to have a family. But this time I think that knowing what I've been through, what to expect, and what it takes, I'm better prepared this time around. And what's tough though is do I have to like the family to all come back down? Should they, should I expect them? Yeah, I know. That's we'll see.
Wait, you were alluding to what you will do differently. Like, what are the lessons that you learned? That's an important piece of information. Put you on the spot.
Yeah, I think that I would certainly I think you stumped me. I would definitely want to make sure that our relationship was stable, and that we weren't doing this just to do it.
Like maybe not the romantic impulsive behavior.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Like the New Year's thing. Maybe that is a good idea that you don't do that impulsively.
Yeah.
I just had one of my best friends. They got married after being together for 16 years.
Sure.
And I actually see the value in that because you've just basically had a marriage. You just didn't do the paper commitment part.
Sure.
And so now it's kind of guaranteed they'll last forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
the thing. And then there's part of me that has also come through this that has said, why I don't want to get married again. What's the point? We can have everything. We can share everything. We can be everything. We don't have to have this filed in an office in town to be happy. I don't know. We'll see.
You should watch the show about non-traditional relationships and see what you think. There's lots of different types of relationships, like what you're talking about. I mean, you don't have to get married. You can get married and be happy. And I definitely don't want our audience to think that I have a skewed view on things. I'm trying to show kind of every angle of relationships and life and happiness and stuff like that. But Jason, I really appreciate you coming on the show today. I think it's been a very valuable experience, so thank you.
My pleasure.
Maybe I'll come on your show.
Yeah, you should.
Yes? Okay. So this has been Love Life. We've been talking about life after divorce. We've talked about the good, we've talked about the bad, not so much the ugly, which is that's a good thing, right? So there's lots of lessons that you can learn when you go through this process. But I think the whole point is to take the pressure off of couples because society kind of puts us in that position where we feel like we have to make it work no matter what. But maybe there is some space left for the possibility that it's not meant to be. And now that we have the potential to get divorced, it is an option that we can consider. So it's not all bad, but we also save room for the happy life after as well. So thanks for watching, and tune in again next week.